Is everybody having, I mean, look, our country's embarrassed. The whole world is laughing at us. But is there any place better to be than a Trump rally? Right? Anything. Right? There's no greater crisis facing our nation today than the catastrophe on our southern border. You've been watching it, and a lot of the fake news, and you got a lot of them back. Look at all of those fake news. Wow. In Afghanistan, he humiliated our nation with the most appalling display of incompetence by an American president in history. And I'll never forget when Biden first came into office, if you can believe this, he said, "We don't believe in America First policies." I said, you know, even if you really don't, you can't say that. It doesn't work. He doesn't believe, but it's true. They don't believe in America First. They don't believe in America First policies. The world is eating our lunch. They're laughing at us. They watch what happened in Afghanistan, and they think we're weak and stupid. And I'll tell you, when I was president, they respected us. They respected this country. I mean, why would you leave $83 or $85 billion worth of equipment? Why would you leave brand new Black Hawk helicopters, the greatest machine? Why would you leave millions and millions? Why, as an example, there was no reason. We had it so under control. We were getting the hell out of there. But everybody would have come out. We would have then taken the equipment. I even gave an expression. I want every screw, every bolt, every nail. I want the tents that the equipment is. I want everything. Millie said to me one time, I'll never forget it, "Sir, it's more expensive. It's more expensive, sir, to take the equipment than to leave it." I said, "Really? You mean you have a $10 million tank? You put it on a plane and that's more expensive than leaving it?" He said, "It's more expensive." And I never forgot that statement, because that's probably the first time I realized that he was stupid. But you know what I did say? I said, so we have brand new aircraft just out of the factory, and it's sitting on the runways, and our soldiers are fleeing and surrendering to guys with knives, good fighters, by the way, but guys with knives that I got along with very well. They understood they're not going to screw around. I almost used the F word. And you know, it would have been more effective if I did, but they would have. He used a horrible word, so I didn't do it. Remember, I didn't do it. It would have been so much more effective if I used the word. Maybe later on. But assuming they really wanted to leave it behind because they're stupid, why wouldn't you bring over 200 pilots? Just take the planes and fly them to Pakistan, and then you bring them over, or fly them to some other country of which we give them all so much money that they all treat us well, okay? You know, we get ripped off by everybody. But why wouldn't you fly the planes out? Instead, they leave the planes. And then they said, because they were so embarrassed, because they probably didn't even know what they were doing. They had no idea what they were doing. They said, no, well, we disabled it. You know what they did? They let the air out of a couple of tires of one plane. That's why, I told you before, 18 months we didn't have one soldier killed, and even Biden said that. It was a mistake. He said, well, I will say that no soldiers have been killed in 18 months, and his people are screaming at him, "Don't say that, you stupid son of a bitch." The military is not there anymore. That's why we had to bring people in that weren't even familiar with all of it. They brought those 13 great people, and many that are wounded, very seriously wounded. They brought them in, among others. They moved, this Millie is an idiot. I got to know him, he's an idiot. Okay? They moved the military out first. Let's get the military out, and then after that, we'll negotiate for hostages, okay? And let's leave them $85 billion in America's finest weapons and latest equipment. And he abandoned hundreds of American citizens in enemy-occupied territory, and the press is trying to play the whole situation down like it never took place, because they are among the most corrupt people in this country. You don't even see it anymore about Afghanistan. They don't talk about it. They don't talk about it, but I will. The Democrats are after me with prosecutors and everything else they can think of. Like, they want to make sure that I just be quiet. But you know what? They want to silence me just like they've silenced so many others. It's one of the reasons we don't get the support we should from a lot of very good Republicans, but they're not as brave as they have to be. And others are in agreement with us, but they're afraid. The people we're dealing with are evil and angry and destroying our country. They're destroying our country. And they want to go after me because they think, a big mouth. I don't have a big mouth. You know what I have? I have a mouth that tells the truth. I have a mouth that wants to save our country. Now Biden is bringing into the United States tens of thousands of unvetted, unscreened Afghan nationals who never worked with the Americans before, including those with child. The person said, you know, I never thought of that. He wasn't that bad. He was radical left, but he wasn't that bad. But he did say, I followed your campaign. It was the most incredible campaign I've ever witnessed, where you would get up and do 3, 4, and 5 of these rallies a day, and you did that for 30 days before the election. He said, I've never seen anything like that. And he said, there has never been anything like that of politics in this country, and probably in the history of politics in the world. There's never been a movement like this. I said, are you going to write that? He said, probably not. He said, probably not. And the reason not is his bosses probably wouldn't let him write that. But there has never been a movement like a MAGA movement like this. There's never been anything like it. Never. He's doing nothing to hold the Chinese Communist Party accountable for unleashing the virus upon the world. Biden did not even say the word China in his UN speech because he's too compromised to take them on. And he only briefly mentioned Afghanistan because his withdrawal has been such a disaster for him and our country, and by the way, for his poll numbers, which have tanked. In short, after just 8 months, Joe Biden is already the biggest failure ever to occupy the Oval Office. And I can think of a couple of people. I'll tell you what, Jimmy Carter is extremely happy right now. So is another president, but I won't mention his name because there might be about 3 people here that thought he was okay. And you see this guy, Shifty Schiff, Adam Shifty Schiff. President Trump is a paid worker for Russia. I said, what the hell do I have to do with Russia? Adam Shifty Schiff, and now he's doing it again. The same guy, the same face, that same watermelon-shaped face. Just like they don't want to talk about Afghanistan or Hunter Biden's corruption. That's the other thing that came out today. You see that? They delayed the Hunter Biden corruption because they didn't want it to hurt Joe Biden's chances of election. And look what happened with Joe Biden as your president. Our country has gone to hell.